Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Spielunkers. I am Luke, and together with me are Jake and Emma. Jake, say hi.
Hello!
Emma.
Emma?
Right, yeah, so Emma's had technical difficulties and unfortunately will not be joining us today. So, for today, yeah, you're stuck with me and Jake, basically.
I think I'm gonna go. I don't want to be here. Just you. Sorry.
Well, unfortunately, our contract says you have to be here. You don't get a choice.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay then. Hi everyone.
Hello. Right, so I also want to point out that this is our 12th episode, which means officially we have been doing this for a year. You might have noticed the music was slightly different to celebrate that fact.
Oh, that's what I was hearing.
Nice. Yes, indeed. So we're going to try a new format for this episode. We're going to do, rather than the usual show and tell, gifting, and book club, we're going to try doing 3 book clubs because we feel that that's where we have the most interesting discussions. And honestly, 8 games per episode might be a lot, so this will give you slightly less to check out, but hopefully have more fleshed out conversations. Let's see how that goes.
Isn't it 7 games per episode?
3, 6, and 1 extra for the book club, that is 7. Yes, Jacob can math!
Why, thank you. I knew I studied it for some reason.
This is it, your time has finally come. Anyway, let's jump right to the start of what have you been playing. Jake, what have you been playing?
Luke? I skipped ahead of you.
Okay. I see how it is. So this month, I've been playing a game called Remnant from the Ashes. This might sound familiar to anyone who's been with us from the first ever episode. This is What If with Dark Souls, but guns. Except this one doesn't make me want to rip my hair out and kill myself.
That can't be very good then.
No, it doesn't. Because the first Immortal Unchained was shit. This is not shit.
Okay. So a different kind of kill yourself.
No, seriously, this is a really good game. It's inspired by Dark Souls, but it doesn't stick as rigidly as the other one did. So it's its own game with some Dark Souls-like inspiration, but it's a really good co-op game. And
so it's difficult, but it's rewarding.
Yeah, but it's not even like difficulty isn't forced upon it, if you know what I mean. It doesn't feel like they've made decisions just to make it difficult. Sometimes it's a bit easy, sometimes it's not. And that's great. But what's really good is, so you've got these 3 worlds, 4 actually, but you start with on Earth, and they get generated when you start the game. So the overworld I think is always more or less the same, but the dungeons you will find and the bosses you will face are randomly selected at the beginning of your world generation. So
yeah,
and you will see different dungeons, different bosses for a run. So if you want to see everything, you either have to re-roll your world, so kind of start the game again with the same character, or visit other people's worlds. So there's a lot of encouragement to play co-op with other people. And It's really cool because, you know, it's not like Borderlands where the weapons are randomly generated. It's more like Warframe sort of thing where there's less loot, but each loot is handcrafted and does something or feels unique. And of course, you know what you're going to get, or at least you know you haven't been somewhere. Like you go to a new dungeon, you'll see the name of the dungeon. You kind of know that, so it's going to be the same boss at the end of that dungeon, and that boss is always going to drop something themed around what they are. So, you find the hive with bees, and then you get a gun that shoots bees, or you fight a giant dragon, and if you kill him by shooting him in the head, you get a submachine gun that puts things on fire, and if you shoot him in the tail, you get a fucking sword that's on fire.
What if you shoot him in between the legs?
No, I don't think you get anything special for that.
Not like a flail with 2 maces.
Terrible.
On fire. Yeah.
But no, so there's a hell of a lot of replay value, and I got halfway through the game, and now all I'm doing is re-rolling my first 2 worlds because I want to collect as much cool shit as possible. And I could probably beat the game in about 8 hours, but just farming stuff, but not in a boring way. I've got up to 30 hours already, and it's really fun.
I think when it's a game that's farming, a lot of farming, the way you do it is really important. Because I hate it when it's too repetitive. But then with a first-person shooter, I don't think it would feel repetitive if the enemies are different enough. And
yeah, well, that's kind of the main thing about this is that even though there's random chance whether you're going to get the dungeons you want, but once you're in the dungeon, this is a unique dungeon. It'll have something that makes it different to others. So you're not just killing the same enemies in the same places to get a random drop. You're fighting new bosses and new enemies to get cool shit. So it's never completely just grinding. I mean, it is grinding, but there's more to it.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And Remnants of the Ash?
Remnant from the Ashes. It's not a very good name, but
That is kind of a terrible name.
it's just like genericness, isn't it?
It doesn't really say anything about the game.
Well, the world is like it's a post-apocalyptic thing, and you're a remnant, one of the few humans still alive, and your society is rising
dragons
from the ashes, I guess. But it's still super generic.
See, I would have thought that name. My first thought was, oh, okay, so you're in hell and you're fighting hordes of undead.
Fair enough.
I guess I was wrong.
Indeed.
Okay. Have you been playing anything else as well?
Yes, I've been playing Blasphemous, which is a Metroidvania that is heavily inspired by Spanish Christianism, but like the ugly side of Christianism. The gore, the torture, the blood, all of that stuff. And
so like Crusades kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. It's really good. It's funny thing is, I keep saying Dark Souls. It's a bit like a 2D Dark Souls, but the other game that we had was a bit like a 2D Dark Souls. I thought, again, the same problem with Immortal Unchained, where it tried too hard to be a Dark Souls, but 2D, and it suffered for it. Whereas this one doesn't have the stamina system. It doesn't have a lot of the things that slow it down. But it's got such beautiful artwork. I mean, beautiful in a very ugly way. It's really,
that's creepy.
Yeah, like the beginning intro. So you're this guy called the Penitent One, and like he's going through this journey of flagellation, so to speak, to I don't know, show penitence for something he's done in the past. And you wear this.
So he's basically Dante from Dante's Inferno.
And you've got this big mask, helmet thing, and the first boss you kill, he cuts it open. The boss fills his helmet full of blood, and then just puts it on and just douses himself in blood. And every time you find a new special room, so the room that increases your health, the room that gives you another Healy blood vial thing, there's always the first time there's this beautifully macabre cutscene that kind of shows what's actually happening in the room. He's a dark fucking game, but he's so good.
Well, I'm looking at screenshots, and one of them is a giant, creepy, blindfolded baby.
Yes.
Jesus.
I haven't fought that boss yet, but that's in all the trailers and all the promotional material. They are very proud of that boss. And I did see that in the trailer, if it kills you, it'll grab you and just rip you in two. And I mean, it's very gory.
Yeah, well, nothing wrong with a bit of gore.
Oh, I fucking love it.
Aha, I've already added this to my wish list, I am not going to lie.
I have it on Switch. I highly recommend it on that.
I was going to say, very funny, is as soon as I opened my Steam to take a look, it was saying, suggestion for you, Blasphemous.
Nice. Or creepy. Creepy or nice. Or both.
I'm looking at the screenshots, and freaking that weird two-faced melted-headed guy is weird looking. Old lady of the charred visage.
Yeah, I did fight that boss. That was a fun boss. The boss fights are really fun. I've almost always lost the first attempt and then beat them on the second or third. They've rarely gotten frustrating.
So the kind of boss fights that Emma would like.
I think so, yeah.
And I think I see a screenshot of the bloody mask bit thingy as well. That looks creepy. Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna get this.
Yeah. Someone said that it's a world where every time you kill an enemy it feels like a mercy kill because everything looks in pain and horrible, and it's that's so true.
Mm-hmm. To be honest, thinking of Dante's Inferno kind of thing, I'm getting that similar kind of vibe from what you're telling me.
It could be. I've not actually played the game for Dante's Inferno, so I can't say compared to that, but I know the actual poem.
This is more extreme. But because Dante's Inferno was kind of like God of War, but with a religious Christian kind of vibe going down the 9 circles of hell. So this is more gory and more graphic, but that's kind of what it makes me think of. Okay, this guy filled his helmet full of blood and put it on, whereas Dante stitched a tapestry into his chest.
Yeah, I do remember
with all his sins in it. Kind of thing.
Yeah, and then it's also got things like the upgrades. You can equip traits. It's a rosary bead. And you just equip different rosary beads. So it really does stick to the whole religious thing in interesting ways. But enough about Blasphemous, which anyone listening, highly recommended. What have you been playing, Jake?
What have I've been playing a lot of things actually. So firstly, I'm gonna be that guy who's been playing Teamfight Tactics a lot. Like, it's freaking obsessed with that.
I don't even understand what that is. So, because I know there's Teamfight Tactics, and there's another one that's the Dota version that's exactly the same, more or less. But to someone who's never looked at it, describe it. What is it?
Okay, so basically, you get a pool of units you can buy. You buy them, each have their own classes and races and that kind of shit, and they will act based on those. You have to just place them on the board, and every round they do their stuff. So you and another person will have their own units, and then they'll kill each other, essentially. If you have last unit standing, you win that round. You gain more money, you buy other units. If you buy multiple of the same unit, you upgrade them, make them stronger. You get items to equip them on units, make them stronger. As a base game, it's very simple, and like, you could play it and you could be amazing straight away because you understand what a ranger is, what a rogue is, what these items are, and that kind of stuff. Or you could learn by, trial and error. But there is a lot of RNG in it because the unit pool, it'll give you 5 units you can pick from that round. You can spend money to try and cycle it again, get more, or, wait and stuff. But when it gets to the end game, it gets very stressful because the unit pools are very limited. So the tier 1 unit, there's only going to be 20, for example, in the whole game amongst the 8 players who can get them. So if you and someone else are collecting them and they happen to be getting more, you're kind of screwed. And tier 2, tier 3, there's less of the units in the pool in total. So at the end of the game, you're going to have a full party and you're going to be desperately trying to get that unit you need. Whereas the other person is probably going to be doing the same, and then it's going to be a case of who gets the more powerful one quicker and such. And a game only takes half an hour, so it's something that's good. You can just go, have a quick one, you're done, enjoy it. And it doesn't take a lot computer-wise. Like, my partner's got kind of a crappy computer, and she plays it with no problem. Just lags a little bit.
Engine-wise, it's basically League of Legends, isn't it?
Well, it's the League of Legends launcher.
Yeah,
it's just a mode in that. Yeah.
League of Legends, like, you could play on a fucking toaster, so this is probably, the same.
Yeah, which is great, because, like, my partner, Beth, doesn't like to play action-packed games and such, but this is something that she enjoys playing, and you have bad rounds, you have good rounds. Freaking love murdering everyone. It's amazing.
It sounds like one of those games that when you win, you can be like, I put that team together, I'm really smart, and I deserve this. But when you lose, you can just be like, whatever, RNG kind of fucked me over, and nothing I could have done about it.
It can be very infuriating when you find out that the top player is hunting the exact same party you're hunting, and it's like, well, that's why I'm not getting you on. I'm screwed now, because I've just spent 5 rounds trying to collect these guys.
But on the other hand, you're like, well, I definitely had the right idea. He just did it first.
Or when you change the one unit and then suddenly you murder him and you're like, yeah, bitch, you suck.
Nice.
But other than that, which I'm amazed that I'm really into that because I don't really play online games much. And like usually I get bored in a week, but this, I've been playing it for over a month and I haven't got bored yet. So quite pleased with that.
Good.
But other than that, I've been playing, what have I been playing? So on the PlayStation, I've still been playing a lot of Digimon New or Next Order.
I started watching someone stream the first Digimon again, and I'm just getting so nostalgic for that Digimon world.
In this one, you actually meet the protagonist from the first game.
Oh, nice.
It doesn't say he's a protagonist from the first game, but he's wearing the exact same outfit. He talks about how he's gone to the digital world before and helped to save it, and basically it's kind of his fault that this has happened in the second game.
Oops.
So it's clearly it's just an older version of him, but the game just doesn't spoon feed it and say, oh yeah, this is the one from the first one, woohoo, kind of thing.
Yeah. I will say when I watch this guy stream it, like all the music and the sounds and everything, just like, oh my god, I just remember. Yeah, every time you win a fight, it's like, yatta! It's just, I want to play it again.
Yeah. Well, do you have a PS4?
No, I don't.
Because I was gonna say that this one it's basically the same, but it is easier in that it's easier to get what you want because you can learn what parameters you need for Digimon without having to look at it online. Mm-hmm. There's actually a fatigue bar, so when you're training them, you don't have to worry about training them too hard and killing them early, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because you can actually see it. So this clearly it was made much later, but it was made easier for people,
That makes
which
sense.
I like.
Yeah, a bit of streamlining never hurt anyone. And any hardcore prick who implies that can just, like, bugger off.
But the problem I have right now is I have out of 2 Digimon, one of them turns into a Mega, 3 days later dies, and then the
Oops.
other one turns into a Mega, 3 days later dies.
Huh. You're
I'd
cursed.
never have 2 Megas at once, so I need to kill one of them early. It sounds like a terrible thing to say.
It's just a digital monster. Who cares?
It's a digital, human-looking angel creature which I need to take to the bathroom because it doesn't know how to poo on its own.
Angemon or something?
I had Angemon and Angewoman.
Anjawumon, yeah. Oh, the names in that game. Shall we move on and start talking about our first book club game?
Well, there was one other game I wanted to mention.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a little bit disappointed that Emma's not here because... So, this month I discovered a phone game series which, yeah, I'm surprised I'm talking about a phone game, but it's a series of like escape room, point and click adventure type things. Hence why it's a bit of a disappointment that Emma wasn't here because it's right up her alley. It's by developer Haiku. Like if you search Haiku games, you'll find a whole list of them.
Yeah.
And generally, I hate those kind of games, but this one, it's really good, and I thought I wanted to mention it because mobile games, a lot of the time, I find mobile games are just excuses to try and get cash out of them and stuff.
That's very true,
this
but
isn't.
you can find some good ones. They're much harder to find, but they exist.
Exactly, but this is one of those good ones that there is an option to buy hints, but I beat them all without buying any hints or anything. And it's your typical, okay, tap on things to gain information and stuff, pick up items. You can use items to get through certain puzzles, and then you also get to actual puzzles, so like slidey pictures to solve it, or figure out what wires you need for this, that kind of thing,
So
using the environment to see
what's
the
the name
hints.
of one of these games?
Murder Mansion was a good one.
Murder Manor.
Murder Manor, that one, yeah.
Nice.
I bet you're on your phone right now, aren't you?
Well, I'm on Haiku Games website.
The Adventure Escape Mysteries one is a series of 6 games. 3 of them are part of a series. That was a really good one. That's one of their most recent ones. Then there was Murder Manor was a good one. The Christmas one was a bit of a cheesy one, but that was a decent one. They've also got some different ones, like Haunted Hunt. You play as a shapeshifter. So you've got the power to turn into an animal, which changes the rooms, so you see certain things differently and stuff, which makes them quite interesting.
So I'll have to try these games out because looking at them, generally there's a certain format for mobile screenshots that instantly puts me off because it just feels so like this is what people want, like this is the scientific way to market something, and it's person on the left or right, bit of text at the bottom, and picture in the back. And they've got this on every fucking screenshot. So had you not recommended, I would never have tried these games out.
Yeah.
Because they look like the most mobile game.
And the only reason I got them was because I was at work. It was a dead shift. So I got the Adventure Escape Mysteries one. Playing through that, then I got into it, and then I downloaded all the others.
Yeah, okay.
The Adventure Escape Mysteries one is the most mobile game in that you unlock keys every 2 hours for chapters.
Oh, that sounds really annoying.
Yeah, so I played that while playing other ones so that I could get them. But that's the only one that sort of, kind of, I guess you could say, pushes you to buy something, because you might not be willing to wait that 2 hours for a 10 to half hour chapter. 10 minutes, a half hour. So yeah, so that was the other thing I wanted to add, and like I said, I'll make sure to tell Emma when I see her next, or when she listens to this.
Anyway, let's discuss our first book club game. So, the first book club game was a game of my choosing called This Strange Realm of Mine. At first glance, it looks like a Wolfenstein 3D style shooter, but it's a lot more than that. It's an adventure through the mind of someone who has recently died and is trying to come to terms with the fact that they are dead and all the loose ends in their life, whatever. It's very artsy. Some might even go so far as to say pretentious, but I think the writing holds it up well enough. There's a lot of writing, a hell of a lot of reading to do, so that might be a problem for some, but I fucking loved it. What did you think of it, Jake?
So, I agree. There is a lot of reading, and I will be honest, I didn't read everything. Like, talking to people in the tavern, I sometimes just skim through it rather than reading. But my my answer to what I thought about it, essentially, I kept thinking, okay, I'll just play one more level. Okay, I'll just do one more. That didn't take long, let me just do another one. Okay, one more level. So...
That's a good sign. I actually beat the game in one sitting from start to end. I didn't stop until I beat it.
See, I haven't beaten it because I had to go to work. Essentially.
Fair enough. So, what's the furthest point you reached?
Where did I reach? So, I did the social anxiety level.
That's my favorite level. I can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah, don't worry, that was fucking amazing. I spoke to the guy in the asylum a second time. I think that was after the social anxiety level.
Yeah.
Oh, no, the last level I did was the one where you get the sniper rifle killing the cultists.
Okay, cool. So, let's rewind.
Firstly, how close am I to the end?
So, I think you're very close. So here's the thing. I've actually played this game a while ago, and that's when I beat it in one run. I'm doing a second playthrough, obviously now, trying to do a pacifist run. Really struggling, and I'm at the same point you are.
Okay.
However, I do believe you are very close to the end. 2-3 levels more at most.
It feels like I'm close to the end, and like, goddamn having a job, but you know.
Okay, so the game starts with, it starts with a weird minigame. Basically, it says you're dead, and then it starts with this weird minigame. It's almost a bit like Agario, that thing where you're like a blob and you have to eat other blobs to get bigger.
You could say it's like Spore, the first stage.
Yeah, essentially. Once that's over, you find yourself in like a dungeon, and there's these weird mutant things that try to kill you, and you just get through it. It's fairly generic. It's like dungeon, castle-y walls. Get from point A to point B. There's nothing too amazing about this part of the game.
That probably the worst thing about this game, I felt, was those creatures.
Fair enough.
So in the first level, because the environment is very dark and stuff, it's very horror-y, I saved all my ammo in the gun. So I killed everything with the torch. But those enemies, they're like head crabs, just more annoying.
Yeah.
I'm glad they changed over from the next level, and I'll let you continue explaining. But yeah, because had that been the constant enemy throughout the whole game, I probably wouldn't have liked it.
Yeah, that's fair. They do come back a few times, but not enough to be like the main enemy or anything like that.
Exactly.
So yeah, you go through this fairly generic looking, at this point the game still just looks like it's just going to be a fairly okay but not great Wolfenstein style shooter. Anyway, you get to the end of this dungeon, and you're in a pub, and you talk to the bar person who explains that you're dead, and he's a figment of your imagination. The whole world is being created by your brain as a way of you processing the fact that you're dead, and that there are things about your life that you're never going to, to finish or come to terms with. So this is how you come to terms with it. But everything, despite being in your mind, is still real, just of your mind somehow. There's still consequences to your actions, essentially. You leave, and you end up in a sort of urban environment where there's all these rat thugs. In fact, they're literally called rat thugs. That's the name of their gang.
This part made me think of the game, the game Kingpin?
Oh yeah, Kingpin Life of Crime.
The beginning, the rat thug area and scene, that made me think of that completely, the first bit of that game.
I can see why. So, did you read the messages on the walls?
Some of them, yes.
Did you notice...
In that area, I read them all.
Did you notice the story being told about Larry?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to spoil this a bit for you, but it's so good. So, as you're going in, you eventually have to go into their, main base and fight your way to the boss and everything. And there's, like I said, there's graffiti on all the wall. And at one point, there's graffiti saying, Rat Thug's secret base. And then it's crossed out, and there's a message saying, God damn it, Larry. And there's a few of these messages. So you go in through the alleyway, you go into the building, and there's a rat banging on a door. If you get too close, that rat will shoot at you, so you'll kill them. And you look through a little crack, and you'll see what looks like a dead rat with drool and stuff.
Remember that.
Yeah, looks like they OD'd or something. So okay, interesting. Anyway, you keep going, you keep seeing more and more graffiti. Occasionally it'll say mean things about Larry or Larry being an idiot. And then there's one that says, have you all noticed that we've not seen Larry in a while? He seemed really distant and kind of depressed.
Yeah, I read that one,
And then there's, I've noticed that too. I'm gonna go check Lisa. And at that moment it's like, oh no! That was Lisa banging on the door! And she was just checking in on her friend and we killed her! I feel fucking awful! And it's just
Yeah.
it's just like something you could miss so easily, but such good storytelling just by writing fucking text on the wall.
Yeah. No, I read that one, but I didn't read all the insults and stuff about Larry, so I didn't make that connection. That was the same one.
Yeah, that OD'd corpse was Larry, and you just feel so bad for him. He got bullied and he killed himself. It's like, wow, holy crap. And hell, like, I wondered, is that supposed to imply something about the main character, you know, and something that had happened in their past? Because again, this whole thing was how they reconcile with their life.
Yeah, so he could have bullied someone.
Or not checked in on someone and felt like it was their fault. Don't know. Anyway, the next area is this weird, like, Minecraftian place with mostly platforming. It's very happy, very pretty.
Except the end.
And you meet this girl who is kind of... See, all the NPCs you meet, all the ones who don't try to kill you anyway, you can invite them back to the tavern, and they all sort of embody something. So the first person you invite is this goth rat.
Yeah, I never invited her. I forgot to talk to her
Oops.
again afterwards.
So she writes poetry and stuff, and every time you talk to her, she shows you more poetry. So she's like the embodiment of creativity. And then the second person is, I feel like the embodiment of optimism. Because she tries to find the bright side in everything, and she's always got a very positive look at things.
The third one is bravery, but, you know, that's kind of in the name.
It's anxiety and powering through it.
But that's her, like, the bravery of confronting your fears and all that.
Let's talk about the third level, my absolute favourite level in the game, which is the anxiety level. Seeing as you brought it up, you obviously seem to have as much love for it as me, I think. So why don't you describe it, Jake?
Okay, so the level starts... You're in an apartment, which is like beer cans and pizza boxes and everything littered all over the place. And there's a knock on the door. When you go to the door, you find a postal slip item. And after you open the door, you see everyone that you see in this apartment complex kind of looks zombie-y with really wide eyes and like really creepy. And if you walk next to them, you just start getting hurt and your screen starts going fuzzy and it starts it gets really dizzy looking, like it waves left and right and stuff. And the point of the level is to get to the end without coming in contact with anyone. And then at the end of the level, you meet Brave, which I mentioned earlier, who helps you to confront your fear. Your fear of anxiety, because you suffer from, you don't like being around people, essentially. It goes along because it feels that they're always judging you, that kind of thing, always staring at you, watching you, hence why all the sprites have these giant wide eyes and they're essentially staring at you. After you have managed to overcome your fear, you actually see the world as it really is, and you see these characters as they are.
Not exactly, because she tells you the trick to being around the people who you worry are judging you is to imagine they look like cute kitties.
Oh yeah, I must have missed that part. But then you start seeing everyone as a cute kitty, and it's all fine. It's suddenly all colourful, the world, and all the people are happy and stuff, and you're happy to see them. And then it's like really easy, just complete it. Like that whole process of trying to get from point A to point B with these creepy people staring at you. It was amazing. It was great.
Yeah, and as someone who just generally likes to avoid people, I found this was very relatable. You know, just even something stupid like, oh, there's someone in that elevator, I'll just get the next one even though there's plenty of room, and that's how this felt, you know, like someone's going past the hallway so you have to wait for them to go before you go behind them.
Like the part where you're walking through the main hub and there's just all these people just staring at you, and like I felt that way sometimes, like you know, walking through the train station and for no reason at all somebody looked at me and think, oh god, what's happened? Are they all looking at me? Did something happen? And you feel that way, and like in that you
do feel anxious in the game. There's so many eyes on you, like they're far enough that they're not damaging you, but you just it feels wrong.
Well, the very beginning when I went to open the door, I think the guy was right behind the door.
You can actually see the eye through the peephole.
Okay, then that's why I didn't notice the eye in the oh yeah, okay,
there's an eye in the
no.
peephole and it damages you.
I didn't notice that, but because I noticed that as I was walking, I'm getting dizzy, I'm losing health, I'm like, what the fuck's going on? I don't get it. And then it made sense after opening the door.
Another point that you didn't really, I mean, you mentioned it sort of, but like the apartment is, like you said, full of cans and pizza boxes and stuff, and it just reeks of depression, like someone who is afraid to face the day, so they just gather all this, you know, they're getting takeout because they don't want to see people, they just don't want to take the rubbish out because it means going out into the real world. And you know, there are people who suffer from depression and live like that, and it's, I don't know, I mean, I guess on the one hand there is the element that might be a little bit problematic of, oh, just imagine people aren't horrible and then you're cured. And it's not like that. But it's, if anything, it's like a temporary measure. You know, you can...
It's true, it's not as simple as that. But then I think the game is just trying to send the message, like, try and be positive. You know, not everyone is going to be staring, and not everyone.
And I think if you look at it as a temporary measure, you know, that's what gets you through that one day, not what cures you for good. It's quite a positive look on things.
It's like when they say when you've got social anxiety, ask someone for the time, ask two people for the time the next day. It's, you know, you build it up by doing that.
Yeah.
If you try and change that mentality and try and think of everyone as a fuzzy kitten, then it'll make it easier for that tiny interaction that you have to make every day.
Yeah, it's like that thing they tell comedians and stuff, just imagine the audience is naked or something like that. You know, they can't judge you if they look silly.
That's more terrifying. Too many naked people.
Fair enough, but you get the point.
I know what you're saying.
But no, I feel like that level is one of the most creative, not just in this game. Like, it's one of the most perfect storytelling through game mechanics, or turning something real into a game mechanic. And it's just, yeah, I absolutely love that level. And for that level alone, I think this game is worth playing, but it's worth playing for everything else too.
I think the game itself, it's sprite graphics. It's not like next gen 3D and all that, but the way it does everything, it does it really well. Like, yeah, that level especially, the artwork and everything. I think the fact that it's sprites makes it better, because, you know, they are always staring at you because you're always looking at that sprite essentially. And yeah, I think it's really well done.
Yeah, no, they have an art style and they lean into it and they make it work. It's really good. So another thing I wanted to point out is that the game, despite being primarily first person, it does change things up a fair bit. We did mention the very beginning, you've got this almost, what did you say, Spore style thing.
There was a side-scrolly bit in the Minecraft level.
In the second level, yeah, it turns into a side-scroller for a bit for you to collect some string.
Though, I'll be honest, those parts, they didn't feel like any bit special. Like, if it didn't have those, it wouldn't have changed my view of the game.
That's fair enough. I appreciate that they're there because they're never too long. They're never long enough to frustrate you. They're just like, oh, that's kind of cool, I guess.
I mean, because like even in the second level, there was the raft bit as well, which was
that was so good though, because, you know, when you're first exploring this happy, very colourful world with floating whales and just enchanting and beautiful, and then you go on a raft ride and it's going to be happy and you're with the positive happy person and, oh god, creepy eyes in the walls and hands coming out of the water, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
For anyone listening, because you're probably really confused right now, you escape that level by getting on a raft to go down a river, and you go into like a cave, and then suddenly there's just like these Cthulhu eyes on the walls and hands coming out of the water trying to grab the raft and sink you, and it just turns really creepy really fast.
I was kind of expecting something similar in the airship one, but I'm glad it didn't happen, because in level 4 or 5, you end the level by getting onto an airship, and similarly, you're escaping by flying through some mountains. And part of me, I was thinking, well, this is probably going to be the same. It's going to get all creepy.
When's it going to go wrong?
And it didn't, and I'm glad it didn't.
Well, I like that they do that, because they set up the precedent that this can happen, so you get ready for it, and then it doesn't, you know, and sometimes not doing it's just as effective.
Yeah, because it was a good surprise the way the level was, and, you know, you actually get to relax for a bit, and not even though you're tense, expecting it to happen, waiting for it to happen.
Indeed. Oh, also, so when you beat the game, you actually get shown a graph of the decisions you've made. It's very unclear exactly what defines the endings you can get, but the first time I beat the game, I got a kind of slightly positive middle ground, and it was something to do with having invited everyone to the tavern and spared people when given a choice, so anyone I could talk to, and then being nice in conversations. However, I did kill a lot of people in the levels, and that added towards getting the bad ending. Apparently, you can beat the game just avoiding enemies, but there's no stealth or anything. You literally just have to run and dodge. But if you want to get a good ending, you have to avoid killing things, which is very difficult.
Yeah, no.
But it's a short enough game. I am considering going for the full pacifist ending. And platinuming it.
Okay. I can't get the ending where I invited everyone because all the characters, the option to invite them comes with the last conversation that you have with
Yeah.
them naturally. But the goth chick lady, it doesn't. I must have had to have talked to her after she unlocked the exit,
Yeah, that's when you talk to her.
but I didn't
Oh, whoops. Fair enough.
because I didn't think about it at that point. And then
And she's the first
Granted,
one,
yeah.
so you didn't set the precedent that you can invite people yet.
I didn't realize.
Well,
It happens in conversation.
it's a short enough game, so it's easy to replay. And there are other achievements and stuff. Like, there's an achievement for getting the worst possible, and rating. So, kill everyone, don't invite anyone, be a complete asshole. And I kind of look forward to doing that. Just, say mean things to people and kill everything that you can. So, I want to, try really hard to get the good ending, the pacifist run, which is going to be very difficult. And then just have the cleanser of just murder everything.
At least this isn't like Undertale, where if you murder everything, it's going to ruin every single game you have after that.
No, every run is self-contained. However, we have been talking about this game for quite a while. So let's just go with, would you recommend this game?
Yeah, well, I should be asking you, I think, because you picked it.
Well, it's something we're both gonna answer.
Yes.
I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite indie games in a very long time. I mean, it is top one of my absolute favorite games. It is so good. So, yeah.
So, A++, gold star, 2 thumbs up?
Yep, all of that.
Okay.
Anyway, Jake, what game did you pick for your book club game?
So, I went a bit different, and I picked a 2-player game. Or a 2-player game that can be played single player, because I have a friend. I picked a game called Degrees of Separation. Now, this is a puzzle game. Essentially, you control 2 characters named Ember and Rhyme. Ember has a fiery kind of persona, Rhyme has a icy kind of thing. They both come from different dimensions, I guess. And the way the game works is when the 2 characters are together, the screen is split in half. The side which Ember is on is all fiery and warm and red. The side that Rhyme is on is all icy and cold. And you have to move around the screen to sort of change the environment to solve puzzles. So, for example, when it's icy, if Rhyme pushes a boulder, it will gather up snow in order to make a platform you can jump on. Whereas if it becomes fiery, that will melt the snow, so suddenly you can't use that platform anymore, so you need to sort of figure out a way to get around. You have lanterns that, if it's sunny, they'll light up, things will happen. If it's cold, they'll turn off, other things will happen, that kind of stuff. It can be played 1 player. I have no idea what it's like 1 player. Because I thought that would have been the part Emma talks about, because she tends to play games on her own, and I played this with my partner, so I didn't really try 1 player.
About that.
Yeah. Yes. Did you play it 1 player then?
Nope.
Yeah. So unfortunately, this might have to touch up on this next episode where I say actually I spent some time playing it 1 player just to give a review on that side. But in regards to the 2 player, I really enjoyed it. Now, the game itself, I haven't beaten it. I'm going to say that straight away. So I don't know if you've made it any further than me or not, and you might have different opinions based on later puzzles and such. But it's not the most difficult puzzler out there. And the way it works is 1 person will control 1 character, 1 person will control the other one.
Yeah, and it's all about positioning.
And it's all about your positioning and stuff. And figuring out where you can go, sometimes finding a different area that you can go down to just to sort of make that split happen in other areas. I don't really know how to describe it.
So let me give it a go. So you've got your 2 different worlds, fire and ice, and the screen is split by where your positions are. Every puzzle is essentially based around putting that split on the screen in a certain spot by positioning your characters. So you need to split the screen in such a way that things that need to be hot are hot, things that need to be cold are cold. Sometimes there's timing involved, so you need to move them around a bit, but generally every puzzle is, how do you get the screen split there? Yeah,
that's a good way of describing it. So what did you think about it?
Well, I'll start with the first thing I notice is it's beautiful. It is a beautiful game. The artwork is incredible. And the music, I think, was pretty good. There's a voiceover that adds this kind of storybook feel to the game, which I mean, she kind of waffles on about nothing, but she sounds good, and I do like that she's there.
With that, I found a lot of story-based indie games have that. They'll have, well, okay, I won't say a lot of them, but I've come across a few of them where they'll have a narrator who will speak nonsense, which is, you know, sort of
Yeah, she
just
like
talking
poetically
under the background
describes everything without really telling you a story.
Yeah, exactly, that kind of thing. But, you know, I thought it worked.
She adds more than takes away. I like that she's there.
I think that artwork-wise, the game is beautiful, and I love the way it transitions from fire to ice. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I love the way, and also the way the backgrounds will change. Like, there's the castle in the background at some point where, if it's ice, so if it's fire, it's all beautiful and stuff. It becomes ice and it looks more barren because obviously the plants and stuff don't grow in the ice and stuff. That kind of stuff. The one thing that I would say about the look, character animation, I did not like.
It does seem a bit stiff, doesn't it?
It's essentially, they've got rigs and they just put anchor points on the elbows, shoulders, knees and leg, and
knees and toes.
and so it just moves like side scrolling, and those are just flailing about.
Yeah, they look like action figures rather than people, the way they move.
It doesn't feel like the people were actually really animated, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fair. But I felt like it worked enough, you know, with the way the world looks and everything.
No, true. I'm just saying, like, that's the thing that I like the least about it.
Yeah, that's fair. So the whole game is progressed through collectibles. There's no real goal beyond getting more scarves. There are scarves in this game.
Yeah.
And the puzzles are all based around these scarves. Essentially, you'll come up to an area, you see a scarf, and you have to think, well, shit, how do I get to it? And that's when you have to puzzle your way to making the platforms be where they need to be, activating the things that need to be activated to make sure that one of you gets the scarf. Like, that's literally the whole game. I don't mind these kind of collectibles as a side thing or an upgrade path in a bigger Metroidvania or the like, but for the scarves to be the whole game, it felt kind of aimless, and just the idea of getting more scarves got very tedious after a while. So that, I wish there was more to the game, like more of a story-based progression and reason to go somewhere, rather than here's a big area, figure out how to get the scarves in it, move on to the next one. Not to mention, the game's not very good at telling you how you're doing, because when you're in an area, it tells you how many scarves are in the area by having like black stars at the top of the screen, and then they turn white when you pick up a scarf. Only problem is, more often than not, that completely blends into the background and you just can't see shit. It's very difficult to tell how you're doing in a level.
Yeah, but you can, if I remember correctly, you can pause the game and see that.
Oh, maybe.
Because when I was collecting the scarves, I was thinking, what am I doing? And then I noticed that there was a marker of how many collectibles there were in an area, and I thought, oh, that's handy.
Oh, fair enough.
I'm
okay,
obsessive.
so
I need to get that.
I'll sort of retract that then, because that's a fair point. Another thing is, there was very little idea of what you need, how many you needed to progress. So you go up to a door, and there's like a radial bar around it, and then it fills up based on how many scarves you have, but there's no actual number, so you know if you have enough or if you don't have enough, how close you are, but you never know quite the exact number you need. And it just feels like when you're playing the levels, you feel compelled to try and get every scarf because you don't really know how many you need, so every one you miss, you don't want it to be the one that you needed to carry on.
Yeah.
And I wish that wasn't the case, because I would have enjoyed the game a lot more if I was just like, fuck this, and I could skip a few of them. Because some of them, the puzzles just weren't very fun. And, you know, I just stare at the screen for ages and be like, I can't figure this out, I don't know what I'm doing, and nothing jumps out at me. And me and my partner jump around and try and move around and just see if something happens that we can figure out. And it just gets bloody boring and irritating, and that started to happen more and more as we got further along. The puzzles just became way more obtuse.
Okay. See, the door issue, I never really had a problem with that, but then I'm obsessive when it comes to games, so I kind of pestered my partner to get every scarf that we ever saw and stuff.
Well,
so
we were already collecting them all anyway, but I was starting to get irritated and wanting to leave them because I just wasn't having fun with collecting them all. Some of the puzzles just, I don't know, they just got really irritating. And after a point it got to a point where every puzzle was irritating and progress would just come to a halt at every scarf, and then we'd figure it out after getting really annoyed, and then we'd move on for like a minute and then or 30 seconds, and then progress would halt again, and progress was just halting at every collectible, and it was just, we didn't want to play anymore. It just wasn't fun. And another thing is, usually one of you will have an idea, but because literally the whole point is positioning, it's very hard to explain to your partner what you think you need to do. So it's just a case of, oh, can you stand there while I try this? Can you move a little bit to the right? And it just gets, like she's getting annoyed with me for giving her demands on how to play the game, and it's not working, and I'm getting annoyed, and then she's got an idea, and we've just reversed roles, and it got to a point where nothing about it was fun anymore.
Well, that's fair enough, but I don't know. I never really felt that way. I mean, again, I haven't beaten it, so I don't know if maybe the next few sections are going to be that bad. But like, yeah.
How many worlds did you see?
2 or 3, I think.
Okay, so here's what we saw. There's obviously the start, and then you go into the castle.
Mm-hmm.
And then from the castle, we went to 2 other worlds. Each world had a unique gimmick, which made a nice touch, but I didn't think it necessarily saved the game. However, at a conceptual level, the gimmicks are cool. So the first place we went to, although I think this was meant to be the next one, the gimmick was that if you get too close to each other, an explosion happens, and you get flung away from each other. So you have to either use that explosion to break walls, or use it to fling each other across the map to find places. And it was mostly about positioning yourselves in such a way that you can launch each other. And I mean, it was okay. There were a lot of really annoying puzzles, but that was fine. And then the other place we did, which I think was meant to be easier, although it frustrated us more, was you press a button and the split on the screen becomes solid, and you can actually step on it like a bridge.
Okay.
So, did you go to any of these places?
No, I got to the castle then.
Okay, so, I mean, at that point, we were still kind of exploring and enjoying the game. It wasn't until we started going into these other worlds that and having to utilize these gimmicks, and I don't know, it's like, because each world has a gimmick that lasts only for that world, you have to figure out all its mechanics, and by the time you've figured it out, it's time to move on to the next world, and then you're given this other thing you have to figure out. And a lot of the time, the puzzles aren't a case of, I'm not smart enough to figure this out, it's, oh, I didn't know you could do that, and that's why it's annoying, because it's just, oh, that's a thing that you can do with the mechanic, rather than, I didn't feel like we were being challenged. I felt like we had to figure out what the developers wanted us to do. It didn't feel like a clever puzzle.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I can't really comment about those levels, but like, I don't know, isn't half the fun learning about it?
It wasn't fun, that's all I can say. I mean, maybe you'd enjoy it more, but I wanted to like the game, I really did. It looks pretty, and at first I did, but we literally had to stop playing because we just realized, look, this isn't fun, it's frustrating us, and we're getting annoyed at each other now.
No, fair enough. Yeah, you don't want to ruin your relationship on a game.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. We survived New Super Mario Bros. We can survive degrees of separation, but we might as well spend our time playing games we enjoy.
Okay, but have you survived Mario Kart?
Yeah, we play that online every Thursday.
Okay. For now. I didn't like Mario Kart Online.
Oh, I love it, and I stream it every Thursday, if you want to tune in.
Yeah, but it's just, when I tried it online, it was always 100cc.
It picks it kind of at random when you pick a level, so...
So that's why it annoyed me. Like, I prefer playing the game on 200cc.
200 I feel like try hard. I prefer 150, but fair enough.
It's just...
Anyway,
that's moving on to a different game.
Yeah.
So, I still think I would recommend this game.
I don't think it's a bad game necessarily, but I didn't enjoy it at all, so I wouldn't. I also wouldn't disagree with you if you said it was good.
Well, the way I look at it, it's... My partner doesn't like video games in general, and it's hard to find the game that she enjoys. Yeah, I agree with the frustration, and, well, okay, I partly agree with the frustration and the side of, sometimes someone will take over, but I found that we did that in turns, so we never truly got annoyed at each other in the game. Like, okay, there were certain parts where it would be, Jake, for fuck's sake, I need you there, I need you to that. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. I played the ice guy, she played the fire chick. And it's a good, chilled game. Like I said, like you said, beautiful, great music and stuff. And just something to help pass the time. So So
I
I
think
enjoyed
that's
it.
kind of the main problem I find, that there's no autonomy. You can only progress together. Now, that for what the story the game's trying to tell, and again, it's kind of gameplay or story through mechanics, which is good, but realistically, in my co-op games, I like to be able to be autonomous and cooperate at the same time, you know? Like when you're playing a cooperative shooter, I need you to watch my back, but I can still just enjoy shooting bad guys. It's not just a case of, if you and I are not doing the tango perfectly, then neither of us is doing good and having fun.
Yeah.
And that's what I find with this game.
But then, if you think about it, like A Way Out, which is a game that's entirely co-op, you do need the other person. Like, okay, that had certain sequences where you'd be on your own running through and stuff, but ultimately you can't be on your own.
It finds a much better balance because there's a lot more around you two working together, as well as the things you can do. Degrees of Separation is only you two working together. There is nothing else.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a negative, because it's kind of what the game is advertised as, personally.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, when I say that's why it didn't click with me, and I can fully appreciate that that's a personal opinion thing, but the game just was not for me and Heather. We did not enjoy it at all.
Oh, that's her name. Yeah, no, okay, fair. No, that like you said, yeah, it's an opinion piece, so no, that's fair enough. But I think that's partly why I liked it. And also, I bought it for £2 on the Switch.
Yeah, we played it on the Switch as well. We didn't get it for £2. We got it a while back. We were just desperate for something co-op to play on the Switch, and that was it. And I wish we picked something else, honestly, because I actually had the game before we agreed to play it on the podcast. That was quite funny that you suggested it, but... I suggested it, like I said, because I wanted to go for something different. I thought co-op, because I figured you'd play it co-op, I'd play it co-op, and again, Emma wouldn't, so at least that way she'd be able to give that part of the decision. I do wonder if the game could actually be better in co-op, because you don't...
In single player,
it becomes... in single player, yeah. Sorry, because it becomes just a puzzle game of where can I put these two people, and you're no longer relying on and having to communicate and then argue with the other person. It's just you know, it'll play like Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, which was an amazing game where you controlled two people, and
which also could have been played co-op technically.
Yeah, but I played that solo, and I loved it.
It was amazing.
I mean, yeah, and I wonder if this game might be better in single player. Well, if you're me and Heather, and not you and
Beth. She has a name.
Fair enough.
I guess that's going to be a 50-50 then, because we don't have a deciding vote whether it should be recommended or not. So we'll stop it at that.
I will say I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying I didn't enjoy it. I'm not saying it's good, because I don't know for sure. But like, it is a game that I went in wanting to enjoy it, because there's so much that I do like immediately like about it. It's just on an objective level, I like what I see, but when it comes to actually playing it, I didn't enjoy it, and I literally can't do anything about it. Like this, it just was not fun for me. So maybe it is for you. So
should we talk about third game, which Emma's not here to introduce?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Emma brought us a game, or suggested we play a game, called Chook and Sosig Walk the Plank. It is a point-and-click adventure game, a very Emma game, where you play... True. You play a skinny, tall boy cat called Chook, who has Sausage. Sorry, you are Sausage. And your friend Chook is the ghost of a chicken. And the game is basically you and Chook are among a group of friends playing some sort of pirate-themed tabletop game, you know, D&D style thing. But the rules aren't very clear, because you play one character and Chook plays one character, but every other player plays like 3 or 4 characters, depending on where you are. It doesn't make any sense, but if you try not to think too hard about it, they lean into it and they make it work, because the characters are really well written. So the characters sitting at the table playing D&D, they have a lot of personality, and I fucking love them. And each playable character that they inhabit still has the same character of the person playing. So you really do get to know them, and it's really good. The characters I can remember and I have taken notes about are Cow, who often plays a sort of shopkeeper or hoarder type character. He is the undead head of a sheep.
Named Cow.
And the other favorite character of mine is Hebel, the lazy and mischievous fox, who plays all sorts of very lazy characters who don't want to do their job and usually wants to be very vain and beautiful and pretty. And he is awesome and I love him. And at one point, someone's like talking about how Hebel is always there, but kind of like you don't like him, but he sticks to you and you eventually kind of break down. And he turns around and says, "I weather you like a storm." And I love the writing, you know, it's that kind of writing. There's this one conversation they have, I don't remember which two characters have it, but it's like, someone says, "You're so cute, I would hug you to death," or something, and then the other character's like, "What, to death? I wouldn't want you to do that." And then they're all like, "Oh, do you not think he's cute? Would you not hug him to death?" And then the other friend's like, I would kill you via hug. And they're all just like making fun of each other with this, you know, the whole "would I kill you because I like you enough" thing, and it's so well written.
That was Hebel said that to something about pets, because it's his hunter character that they're talking about, and he likes killing things, and oh my god, it's so cute, I would hug it to death. And then Cow says something, the undead.
Oh yeah, like, "I'm cute, aren't I?" And then he was like, "Well, I wouldn't want to hug you to death." He's like, "Oh, are you not cute enough to hug to death?" And then like Sosig kicks in and says, "I'd hug you to death." And it's just... it's such believable banter, you know?
You know, I could believe that they are. I could imagine that every character was a different actual person, and that's that kind of exchange that they would have actually had, kind of thing. Yeah. Obviously, one of them not actually being an undead cow, but you know, sheep.
Well, yeah, all the characters are weird. Like, obviously, there's the undead sheep called Cow, there's the ghosts of a chicken. I forget, like, the actual dungeon master was...
another undead creature.
Yeah, some sort of sheep or something. Like, one of the first things they say when you bring Chook in, who didn't want to play, is, "Oh good, we needed one more undead to like balance out the living to undead ratio," you know, so they do mention it. Do you want to talk about what the actual adventure is, seeing as I've been describing most of this?
Okay, well, so it is, as Luke said, a pirate themed adventure, and it's a point and click adventure. You start on an island, because, you know, pirates and islands and stuff, and your first goal is to sort of make a fountain work, and you speak to the characters and stuff, learn about like hidden treasure in the sea and stuff. I'll be honest, I completed that island and then the next set of islands, but I didn't complete the other ones because I actually didn't really enjoy this game. Yeah.
Why not?
Well, I didn't really like the fact that it kept jumping to them at the table. Like every time you do something, it just jump. And yeah, okay, they'd have the banter and stuff, but it's like it felt like a disconnect every single time. And I'd be like getting into it, and then suddenly, oh no, wait, we're back here. Oh, okay, yeah, kind of thing. It every time. So that kind of irritated me. And I don't know, the puzzles and stuff, they didn't grip me or anything.
That's a shame.
I found
That's fair.
I found as well, yeah, you could press space to see what you can touch and stuff, but it didn't really help me loads. And I don't know, I couldn't get into it. So like, I know that you end up saving the world and there's like some kind of entity that you have to defeat, but I don't know how you get to that. But yeah, after you get off the first island, then your quest is to find a map to find out about the rest of the world or more islands and stuff. So it's just going from one island to another to try and get items and stuff to find that map, which after I found, I don't know what happens because I kind of got bored.
Okay, well, let me take over then.
Back to you.
So yeah, like you said, you start on the island and you have to get off that. You have to get a map. So then you get like 3 islands, I think it was. Maybe it was 4. 3. Okay, 3, and you have to go to them. And at each island, you see different characters who, again, they're the people from the table, but they're playing someone different than they were at the starting island with the fountain. So you'll find Cow in a lost temple, and he'll be trying to sell you on this pyramid scheme of like goddess water. That's literally just water, but it's supposed to make you feel really good.
It's water with a fancy label.
Pretty much. Does he actually say that? I feel like he does say that. Yes, he does.
That is exactly what he said.
And, you know, to get into there, you had to solve a puzzle on the island, which I thought was really good, which was like these 4 levers which affect different lights, and you had to make them all light up. So I had to take notes on which one affected which one and do that.
See, I just kept clicking randomly and it worked.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I actually took notes on that. Then you also end up at the Hunters Guild or something, and
that's the hugging to death scene.
Yep, that's where you meet Hebel again, and he's like a hunter, and he just kills all sorts of animals, and you've got all these trophies on the wall. And what was the other one? The other one was that the goblins, or was that later?
The goblins. I like the goblins. The goblins were fun.
Yeah, so another thing is, one of the main points of it being a sort of D&D campaign is it'll often have something that doesn't make sense within the pirate world, but then they'll explain it like, oh, I've just got these leftover miniatures from my D&D campaign, so there's goblins.
Let me say something before you continue. So at the very beginning of the game, when they're introducing the characters, they tell Hebel off because of dinosaurs, and they make it very clear this is a pirate-themed game. We are not going to have any dinosaurs or anything non-pirate themed. Then the goblins show up, and Hebel turns around and says, why are there goblins here? You said this is meant to be pirate themed. They're not pirate themed, they're goblins. And the DM says, well, I only had these miniatures, so I just used them, but I can fit it in. To which Hebel goes, well, I could have fit dinosaurs into this story.
Yes, and that's more of the kind of banter you get in the game. See, I'm surprised that you didn't like these jumping between, because I feel like the humor it adds justifies it.
Yeah, but like I said, it felt very disconnected whenever it kept happening. I don't know why, I just didn't.
I mean, that's perfectly fair, but I it's a shame. Anyway, so yeah, once you create the map, I'm not going to explain how you do it. You get a bunch more islands. I'm not going to explain what they all are, but at some point you see Hebel as a beautiful mermaid, and there's the female character. What was the female? Was she
Min, bat.
A bat, yeah. And she complains.
She was a bit batty.
Haha, very funny. She complains. She says, hey, why didn't I get to be the mermaid? I was told I'm not allowed. And Hebel's like, well, it's because I'm the true beautiful one, and I get to be the mermaid. And he's just absolutely full of himself. You meet Hebel again. He's like the goddess of the sea. There's actually two endings in the game, by the way, and I got both of them. One of them, you become the goddess of the sea, and the other one, you find the lost treasure. There is no defeating some big ultimate evil.
Oh, okay. I thought that I gathered from achievements. I thought there was something about defeating something.
Probably one of the puzzles was defeating something along the way. I would have done it, I just don't remember. Yeah, I mean, each island has its own self-contained puzzles, but then there's also puzzles that involve you having to go from island to island. I did find a few times I got a bit confused as to where to go and aimless, but you can go to the starting island and talk to Chook, who will always tell you where to go, and it's explained as he's cheating. He's watching the DM screen and he'll give you hints, which is kind of clever.
Yeah, I found myself using Chook a lot, though.
I did towards the end, but not because of the game being any harder or less logical at the end. I was playing the game. I started playing it around midnight, and then about 2 or 3 in the morning, I was like, I need to finish this. So I started using the hints a lot, and I finished the game and both endings in one sitting because I really loved it. It's only about 3 hours long, but it was really good. I mean, obviously you didn't enjoy it, but I did.
Well, I played it for like an hour and a half. And
yes,
yeah.
So you could have probably finished one of the endings fairly soon after.
Possibly. Oh, I did as soon as I got the parrot. The first thing I did was try and give it to Hebel the hunter, because I thought he was going to kill it and stuff it or something.
That's not very nice. Yeah, so the goblins give you an angry parrot, and they call it their son, and it's very cute. There is an achievement for showing the parrot to every character in the game, which I didn't get, but I saw that it's there, so you can do that.
Yeah, you can, indeed. So, clearly, what I thought was going to happen wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. But no, like, I really liked it. I felt like it was just hanging out with these cool characters as they play their dumb game. The rules didn't make much sense, but it was easy to just ignore that. I loved that while it was jarring at first, I did end up loving the fact that all the NPCs were the same characters, because you could instantly tell what their character was going to be like. And, you know, it's like when you play D&D with a friend and you see them embody someone else, but it's still that friend playing it, but it's fun to see what they can do with it. And you know, it was...
Except in D&D, they don't play 4 or 5 characters in the same
Well, it's
run.
like you're playing 4 or 5 different campaigns with this friend and seeing what they can do with 4 or 5 different characters, but in this case, they're all the same, you know, the same campaign. It doesn't make any sense, but it works. You know, like, I really liked Hebel. I really liked Min. Yeah, you know, she was almost like this kind of motherly character, but also quite badass and didn't really care. You know, at one point you find her as a Viking lady, and again, she's just really cool. She's the captain of your ship, although you only see her as the captain on the starting island, and then you just see the ship moving from point to point, and you just get off the boat.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. There's no voice acting, which It's a bit of a shame, I guess, but it didn't bother me too much.
I think, in all honesty, the voice acting could have ruined it, because unless it was really good voice acting, it might have felt a bit meh.
So that's
So
true.
I'm kind of glad there wasn't
However,
voice acting.
because of the way the game is made, they only need 5 good voice actors to do everything, or 6, or how many ever there were. So
That's
could have
true.
worked out.
But Tuki Paluki as a studio, as a developer, if they couldn't find the good voice actors, then it might have not worked out very well.
No, that's fair
So
enough.
it's a safer option to not go for.
Yeah, it just meant I could do
voice
funny
actors.
voices while I played the game, which I love doing, to be completely honest.
Yeah, and Emma would have got what she wanted, which was the meh, 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 meh sounds.
Yeah. I will say, I did find it kind of odd that Chook had such a small role in the game. Like, you rarely ever saw him, apart from when you go for hints, considering he's in the name of the game.
Yeah, I was kind of figured that something more would happen with him, because of the fact that in the image on Steam there's Chook and Sosig, and yes, he's in the name, and it does feel like he's important.
So I
more
think
important.
someone said that this is actually, there's more Chook and Sausage games. This is the only one on Steam, but you can find more on itch.io. So if that's the case, then probably they're the only 2 that are present in every game, or at least the most prevalent in all the games, and that's why it's Chook and Sausage. But yeah, in this game, he's the hint system. That's all he is.
There are more, because there's a Chicken Sausage, a case of murder, Chicken Sausage. Yeah, there's more.
Yeah, I definitely see myself playing them. I really enjoyed them, and I do wonder if they take the same format where it's people playing D&D again, or if that one's actually a murder case or something.
The animation is so different. Chook and Sausage look very different in the other games. So
I imagine this is the higher budget of them all. That's why this is the one on Steam.
But no, I think from a puzzle perspective, there was a lot that I like. I liked the little self-contained puzzles, like the one where you had to move the levers and stuff, and they were done. But I think jumping from island to island, there was things that I could easily miss and stuff. And pressing space, there was always that little animation of Chook floating about, and then suddenly you can see everything for a few seconds. That also felt like it took long.
I do agree. So I appreciate that you could do that, and I'd rather that you can with the annoying animation than you couldn't at all. But it did seem unnecessary. So yeah, when you press spacebar, it shows every interactive thing on the screen, which is something we wished.
Chook.
Chook. One of the problems we had with that was sometimes we missed interactive areas. So it's good that it was there. But every time you press it, you watch Chook like do a sort of dance, like he's doing some sort of voodoo dance, and then everything appears. Which I guess they wanted to balance it out and make it feel like you were not cheating, but using a thing, so you didn't rely on it all the time. But in the end, I did rely on it quite a lot.
Yeah.
With that said,
Same.
It had that, and there was the hint system where you go back to that and speak to Chook, and he points you in the right direction, and it never punishes you for using any of these, so I appreciate that. So if you wanted to really puzzle it out yourself, you could, and for the most part, I did. But if you just want to enjoy the rest of the funny story with the funny characters and kind of not skip ahead, it never outright gave you the goal, but it told you generally what you should be doing, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, but at some point I couldn't get any hints anymore.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if there was a limit to how many hints or anything, but like he wouldn't give me hints.
Well, there's probably
wasn't an
only
option.
so many hints he can give you until you've progressed the story, and then he can, he's run out of hints.
Yeah, but every time he gave me a hint, I did what that hint was referring to.
Okay.
Like, he gave me a hint about the parrot being able to pull something, and then I saw the cork and pulled it. He gave me a hint about the alcohol, and then I realized, oh, okay, I don't need to put it in a ball. I can just use the torch on it. But then he started giving me hints.
Oh, weird. I don't know. I beat the whole game using a fair few hints, but never having to go external. I never had to look for a walkthrough or check the forums, so that was good. I purely used the hints and puzzles. So I found the puzzles were logical enough. Sometimes there were too many options on what islands to go, and so there wasn't enough direction in where to go, but then the hints kind of cleared that up anyway.
Yeah.
Overall, I still felt this was one of the more logical point and clicks out there.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough.
I enjoyed the music as well. It was swashbuckly what it needed to be, and it always kind of fit the area you were in.
The music was very fitting. Like, I never felt that it was out of place, so that was quite good. And the animation and the artwork is quite nice. One thing that I thought a bit odd is the parrot artwork didn't feel like it fit with the rest of the game.
See, now I've got to look at screenshots because I'm not quite sure what you mean. I didn't notice this myself.
So it was mainly on... So you know when you start the game?
Yeah.
On the main menu, you've got a couple of characters and there's Parrot, there's Chook, Sosig, and yeah, that stuff when you're picking the options. There was a parrot there. Really didn't look like it was meant to be there.
Oh, fair enough.
But then in the actual game, the parrot doesn't look as obvious.
Yeah, in the game he fits, but
yeah,
fair enough.
That's the only little thing I'd say. But otherwise, yeah, the game artwork wise, it is quite good, and animation wise, it's smooth, it moves. I can't really complain about that.
Also, I want to point out just like how wholesome and happy the whole game is. Like nothing about the game is ever mean-spirited. Even the banter is always kind of jolly, and they'll take jabs at each other, but it never feels mean-spirited. I really appreciated that. Everything about the game, even Chook himself, like he's very happy. Not Chook, Sosig is very happy. At one point, I don't remember what it was he says, but like there's an option of taking a violent option. He's like, I won't do that. You know, we're happy people. We don't do violence, and it's so weird for piracy and stuff, but it works.
I did think that the characters, they did feel like friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are well written characters.
Yeah, you feel like they've got a very strong relationship outside of what you're seeing in the game.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that I can appreciate. Like when I'm having my D&D sessions, that's the kind of shit that we get into and insult people.
Yeah, it's true. It's very relatable.
And then I try and murder my friends. You know.
Yeah, well, their DM didn't try to murder you at all, so that's good. This is a game with no fail state. It's not one of those kind of point and clicks where you can die, so you can't lock yourself out of progressing.
Yeah, or that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, or get to a point where you can't actually do anything, because that irritates the crap out of me when it comes to...
Oh, that's the worst thing. I mean,
adventures.
I don't mind point and clicks that kill you and make you have to redo that one scene again, but when... And sometimes trying to find all the dumb deaths is part of the game itself. When, you know, you can't progress the game because you didn't pick up the fucking grub from the tequila in the first fucking scene, and you needed that grub at the end of the game, that's when it's bad.
Or when you couldn't collect the babel fish.
Fucking broken sword.
Or, you know, or even, yeah, the babel fish in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which you've only got 4 attempts at getting, and if you've messed all of them up, you can't get it, and that's at the first scene, and you need it for the rest of the game.
Yeah, that kind of thing's really annoying. Oh, another thing I like, sorry, the screenshots I've got there in front of me, and I've just seen Cow in the shop, and I just love how dumb it is. So, Cow is a shopkeeper in the first island, but he doesn't want to sell anything. He's just a hoarder and uses the fact that it's, you know, that he's owning a shop as a socially acceptable excuse to hoard, but everything's like stupidly priced, and he's mean to customers because he doesn't actually want to sell anything, and it's just so dumb, and I love it.
Kind of feels like something I'd want to do.
Yeah.
Have a shop, display my stuff, and be like, oh no, that's not for sale today. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's 1 million.
In fact, one of the puzzles, you have to convince him that like tourists are coming and they're going to come to his shop and buy everything, and I forget why exactly, but that's what you have to convince him to get him to do what you have to do.
You have to convince him to help you turn on the fountain that you turned off, because he turned it off because of the fact that if a ship goes into sea with the fountain turned off, it is
bad luck.
Superstitiously bad luck.
Yeah.
So his idea is that obviously people who are on the island cannot leave more sales, he actually says, which is weird because he doesn't want to sell anything. But then you convince him by talking about kids
touching everything. Yeah.
And then he helps you turn on the fountain so that you can get rid of the kids.
Which don't actually exist. You liar.
Yeah. In fact, then it goes to the DM who says that was meant to be harder. You were meant to give it up so easily. Mm. And Cow says, yeah, but, you know, Sosig is very persuasive.
Yeah, I remember that. Anyway, so I'm not really sure what else to say. Ultimately, I guess, would you recommend this game, Jake?
So, even though I didn't enjoy it, the answer is still a yes.
Okay.
Because I didn't enjoy it, but I'm a person who doesn't enjoy point-and-click adventures much. So, it was kind of potentially going to be lost from the beginning on me. That doesn't mean it was a bad game. I can still tell that it was a decent game, and like you've said, the banter is good, the animation is good, the artwork is good, the story is good. So I think people who like point-and-click adventures will enjoy this game. So yes, I would recommend it still.
Brilliant, and I wholeheartedly recommend it. I absolutely enjoyed every second of it. Like I said, I played it from start to finish and got both endings in one sitting, and I stayed up till 3 in the morning just to get to the end because I didn't want to stop.
And I'm sure Emma would say yes as well.
Probably.
But then again, she'll probably say yes to anything with cute animals.
And point-and-click controls.
That too. That too.
Okay, well, I guess...
So I don't know how voting is going to work because there's no one to do the third vote. So unless we both voted for Chook and Sosig, it's impossible for us to vote for...
No, but I will ask, is there, out of these 3 games, which one did you enjoy the most? Which one would you have found bigger surprise? Like would you not have played yourself had it not been for this? Or are you glad you tried? That sort of thing. So, which was your favourite of the 3?
Yours.
Brilliant. And out of the 3, is there any that you feel you wouldn't have played, but you're glad you did because of this podcast? Yours. Nice. I'm gonna have to go with Chook and Sausage for well, I mean, I think my favorite is mine, but it's unfair because I literally brought one of my absolute favorite games into the podcast, so it was always gonna be my favorite.
You played it before the podcast. You didn't play it for the podcast.
Yeah, but I wanted it to be something special. I wanted it to be something I could talk passionately about for the 1 year special.
Yeah, understood.
But as for games I wouldn't have played as well as the podcast, I mean, Chook and Sausage, but to be fair, if Emma just said, hey, have you seen this cool point and click, I would have probably played it. It's not a case of I played it only because of the podcast, because it just looks like a funny little point and click, and definitely something that I think Heather would have loved to sit down with me and play, so she missed out.
To be honest, I probably would have never played Chook and Sausage because I don't play point and click adventures much. So that is definitely one of the games that I would not have played. I only played because of the podcast. But can't say I guess I'm a little bit glad I played it because, I still got to try it. But, I'm not super fussy about it.
Oh, that's fair.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get ready to end this. Is there anything you want to promote? Have you started Twitch streaming again? I feel like you said you have at some point.
So, I'm very on and off. I do it maybe once a week, so I guess I won't really promote it. If you happen to see me through my brother or anything, I'm happy to have you, but I don't stream regularly or often enough to sort of say it's a thing. It's just what I want. I would say, play TFT.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that's and that was to you, Luke. You should play it so I can destroy you at some point. Anyway,
just do not want to install the League of Legends loader because I hate League of Legends that much.
I felt that way, and I really didn't want to install League of Legends, but my friends were playing it, and I thought, okay, fine, I'll do it. And now I don't want to get rid of it.
Fair enough. Well,
it's not League of Legends. That's the thing. It is its own game. The only drawback is it's on the League of Legends launcher because it uses League of Legends characters. But it could be its own standalone game.
Fair enough. I'll think about it. That's all I can promise.
Get it.
Right. As for me, I do try to stream at least 2 to 3 times a week, although I rarely get the chance these days. But I'm still on at Twitch TV /CrazyKane. I've started making video reviews for every game I finish on stream. That's YouTube /CrazyKane. I've put up 3 reviews that I feel like are pretty good quality. I've still got all my old videos, which are crap, but they're there anyway. And I occasionally put bits of this podcast on that channel as well. I'll try and get a chunk where we're talking about a game and put it to footage of that game. So feel free to check that out. And I am fairly active on Twitter these days on @KaneKravich. And that's me. So
cool.
Catch you all in about a month where we will be doing our 1 year anniversary special. And then maybe taking a break. We're not sure yet. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, but yeah, it'll be a good one.
In the meantime,
make sure you tune in.
Goodbye.
Adios, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.